Hello everyone, welcome to the Bright Theater. Today we are going to be talking about my top 5 anime that I think you should start with. My top 5 starter anime. And one that I see a lot and a lot of people think, oh, this is a solid starter anime, or I see a lot of people starting with this one, and I don't exactly think it's a great idea. So yeah, let's just get right into this. This is a shonen list and it's anime only. I can make a separate list for probably seinen manga and just manga in general. So yeah, this is a shonen anime list, and the list is not ordered in like how much I enjoy the series or how on the order that you should watch them. It's simply on how much I wanted to talk about them. And in the order that I did want to do so. So, at number 5, let's get an obvious one out of the way, being My Hero Academia. So, my Hero Academia is a series that features the main character Deku, and he does not have a quirk, which is kind of like their word for a superpower with in the universe. And the show basically centers around superheroes and this kid Deku who doesn't have a power, yet he wants to still become a superhero. And that sounds like a pretty interesting plot, and it is. It is a very good show with a lot of cool fights. Some things I will say about it is at times it can feel very baseline shonen. And a lot of the things that have done in this show, are done better elsewhere. And a personal thing that I don't quite like about it is the main character himself, Deku, and the way he goes about. I'm not going to spoil it, but the way he goes about becoming a superhero, I'm not the biggest fan of. So that is Deku is kind of annoying, but most of the other side characters in the show are very, very solid. I think overall it's a pretty quality show, and the animation on the anime most of the time is very good. It introduces a lot of tropes that you see a lot in shonen anime, kind of like a rival character, and then just things like that. Just an example to use is that, but also just kind of the power system. The transformations are very reminiscent of other better shows, which I would recommend you watch later down the line. But I think this is definitely a good show to initially get into anime with because of how it's something that most people can easily grasp onto. I mean, superheroes, most people have at least watched, some Marvel or read some comic books or anything like that. Very easy to get into right off the bat. All right, number 4. We're going to need to go with Death Note. Now, this is another pretty popular choice I see. Death Note is a very, very good show. Still, I've watched plenty of anime, and this show is still in my top 5. And it was one of the first I started with, and it does a very good job at almost everything it does. And that's a show that I can't really say too much about until the last 12 episodes. That's the only major critique before I get into the plot, is that the last 12 episodes are not nearly as good. But the actual plot of the show I'm sure will intrigue you. So it's about this kid, Light Yagami. I'm sure you've heard the plot of Death Note, but I'm just gonna quickly explain it. There's a kid, Light Yagami, and a Death Note, which is a book which if you write someone's name in it, they will die. And it has a certain set of rules that Light must learn and how to use it, and how he basically becomes a S-class criminal, very, he's basically a serial killer. And so the government doesn't want him to do that anymore, obviously, because he's killing people. But the people he is killing are mostly prisoners or people who have done evil things and are bad people or villains or whatever. So it kind of creates he's killing people, but they're villains, and he's kind of doing justice. And it's a very good show, very in depth. This is a show I would recommend to anybody, whether or not they're interested in getting into anime or not. Just overall, this is a phenomenal show and a great starter anime, because even though most of the time it doesn't feel like a battle shonen, because it isn't, it still has and introduces you to a lot of tropes and does a very good job with it. So yeah, those are my opinions on Death Note. I really like it, and I think it's a great place to start off if you're just starting to get into anime. All right, at number three we have Naruto. Now Naruto, there is the major problem with Naruto is it's very very long. It's about 720 episodes with filler. However, it's much shorter than that if you skip the filler, which I would 100% recommend. It will increase your how much you enjoy the show by so much. And if people are like, you're not a real fan if you don't know. It's the manga experience. That's the original experience. Go with just go with no filler. That's the best thing you can go with. So the plot of Naruto is about this kid who had a nine-tailed fox sealed inside of him when he was just a baby. And that is already kind of an interesting thing, like a nine-tailed fox demon sealed inside this little baby child, and it grants him an insane amount of chakra, which is the main power system within the series. And while yes, it's most people do have abilities, which they call jutsu, it's he has an excessive amount of skill because of the nine-tailed fox being sealed inside of him. And however, most people hate him because the nine-tailed fox originally went on this massive rampage, killing a bunch of people's friends and family. So most people don't like him, and they see him as the embodiment of this nine-tailed fox, which had killed their friends and family and everyone they had cared about. And so he kind of has to overcome that while also wanting to become the leader of his village. A village in which most people hate him, which is kind of sucks because he's actually not a bad kid. Something just bad happened to him before he had any control over it. And it's a very good series. The fights in Naruto are phenomenal. I will say, however, it peaks about in the middle in an arc called the Pain Assault, and then after that, it's not as good, but in my opinion, it's still very quality. Until the very, very end, and then it's not very good anymore. But yeah, those are my opinions on Naruto. I think it's a great show. I mean, it's the show I started out with, and I have all of this behind me. And I am a huge anime fan, so if you're trying to get someone into it, I don't think this is a better starting place. Similar with My Hero, it's a pretty baseline, basic level shonen. However, it introduces you to these tropes and does a better job of it. And overall, I think is a much better representation. And it's overall just a better show than My Hero. However, most people can adapt more easily to a episode that's around 100 episodes and is about superheroes over a show that's around 500 episodes and about ninja. Or at least that's how I've had discussions with people who have just starting out with anime. Okay, and number two, we are going to be doing a little bit of an unexpected one, and that is Assassination Classroom. Assassination Classroom, there's a very specific reason why I think it's a very good starting anime. And that's because not only does it introduce you to a shonen, it also introduces you to plenty of other little genres, like a slice of life, mixed with a shonen. So it doesn't limit what you want to watch to shonen because it has two aspects of two very good genres of anime and even more packed into it. And I think that's why it's such a good show. The plot of it is also fantastic. What is basically happening is this guy, he went and he punched a massive, I don't think he punched it, he just blew a massive hole in the moon. So it's constantly a crescent moon. And then he threatens to destroy the Earth in, I don't remember how many days it was, but he threatens to destroy the Earth after a certain amount of time. So he goes and he gets this class of flunkies. These kids, I guess not flunkies, but these kids who had flunked everything. They are complete screw ups. They struggle in all their classes. They are getting very awful grades, and they're not even being taught in a real school building or the real school building in their area. They're being taught in the shack in the middle of nowhere. So this guy who just blew up the majority of the moon and now threatens to do the same to Earth is now trying to teach these kids not only in simple, or not simple, but how to learn math, reading, all those kinds of, basic school things. He's also trying to teach them how to be assassins. And if at the end of the time period that he set, they can kill him, then they win and he dies and he doesn't blow up the earth. But if it doesn't happen, then he blows up the earth and, they die. Everyone dies. And it's a very good show. I really love it. All of the characters are very interesting. And I think that's something with a show like My Hero that it kind of struggles with. A lot of the characters in Class 1A, I really don't care about. But most of the people that are introduced, they at least have an episode focused around them that makes me care at least a little about them, as compared to somebody like the tail guy from My Hero, who I don't care about whatsoever. So yeah, there you go. Those are my opinions on Assassination Classroom. I love Assassination Classroom. I think it does a very good job because there's obviously a lot of fights between the kids and Koro Sensei, who's the teacher guy who wants to blow up the earth. It also, there's a lot of field trips and, activities that go on between all the kids. So it kind of has a slice of life kind of feel to it while also being a shonen. So I think that's why it's a very good starter, because it's a good show and it introduces you to a lot of different concepts. All right, number one. This isn't my number one pick. This isn't a... I just wanted to talk about this one. So this is a show called Hunter x Hunter. I guarantee you've heard about it. And it introduces you to a lot of, it gives you a good representation of a lot of the shonen tropes that you will see again and again and again, which in my opinion is something important. However, it does it in a way that makes it feel different and separated. So every time you watch a different show, you feel like, oh, I can see how there's similarities, but this isn't just a carbon copy of this original show that I watched. And I can see that being an issue if one of your first starting shows is like My Hero or Naruto. So, I overall also think it's a fantastic series. It's not too awful long, and there isn't any filler, which makes it very easy to digest. The main character is phenomenal. His main, rival kind of sidekick character is also great. Everyone in the cast is awesome. It does a very good job. Almost every single one. Every single one of the arcs is great. It's a constant, in my opinion, 10 out of 10 show. So, I guess 9 out of 10 in my opinion, but a lot of it just because there is a solid chunk where it's very slow. However, a lot of people really like that chunk, so that's why it's a 10 out of 10 for them, but not for me. So yes, those would be my top 5 picks. Actually, I should explain Hunter x Hunter's plot first. Hunter x Hunter is about a kid whose dad, left him when he was a very small boy, and, before, he even knew anything, left him with his aunt, and he's basically Gon, the main character, is now on a quest to, get and find his dad, while also meeting fun and wacky characters on the road. Most people's goal is to become the Hokage like Naruto, or the number one hero like Deku. His is to find his dad, which is kind of sad, but good show. So yeah, currently it's on hiatus, and it probably will be forever, which is sad, but there it is. Also, something I probably should say, it is pronounced Hunter x Hunter, even though there is an X in the middle. That's because within the world of Hunter x Hunter, instead of spaces, they just put X's, so it's kind of, thing. Actually, the reason why it's called Hunter x Hunter is because Gon is a hunter, and he is hunting his dad, Gene, who is also a hunter, so therefore he is a Hunter x Hunter. See? Pretty cool. So yes, that's Hunter x Hunter. Very good show. I should probably now talk about the one that I don't think you should start with that I see a lot, and that is One Punch Man. One Punch Man is good. I love One Punch Man. I have, hold on. Gotta grab these without making sure they don't spill everywhere. I have One Punch Man. I love One Punch Man. One Punch Man is awesome. It's one of my favorite series of all time. However, I don't think I would enjoy it nearly as much as I did if I hadn't watched other shows beforehand, and that's because this series is jam-packed full of references to other works like Attack on Titan and Dragon Ball, which I think you need to have experienced so many other shows to kind of fully experience the show and get why it is so good. I think you can enjoy it. You don't have to have seen this bunch of anime and be like a very, top tier weeb and watched everything. Or, I think you could enjoy this no matter what starting point you're at. However, personally, I would recommend it as a later series for you to start. So, those are my opinions on One Punch Man as a starting anime. And the plot, the plot of One Punch Man. So, yeah, that is my video. I really enjoyed recording this. I absolutely have been wanting to make this video for such a long time because I noticed that a lot of people in my community are newer to anime and manga, so I've decided to kind of make this list here to hopefully help some people. There are a few series which I have consciously left out of this. I didn't forget about them. I just think that these would be some of the best shonen shows to watch and start with to be introduced to a lot of the things which make shonen so good, and a lot of the things that you will see a lot in shonen, and kind of compare between them all. That's why I think seeing a lot of these tropes and introduce them well is an important thing when talking about, what's a good starting anime, because you can compare between all of these. So yeah, see you guys. I don't know how to outro this video. Bye.